So just know, like, when you start breaking free and like, I'm going to get out of the judge story, the judge says this will all the things you have to do to be safe and protected. Sometimes when you go over here, the judge and the characters like say, no, that's scary, but we aren't following the rules, and fear might come up. Just notice you have fear. Freedom, it might be these characters' fear of your freedom. Not your fear of freedom, but their fear of your freedom. Maybe pause for a moment. I want you to take your time to notice a couple things. That all these dreams of judgment and all the elements, that you exist separate from them. They're a construct of a dream and a part of the mind and a story. That they've not been outside in the real world. They live in their own little bubble world. And you as a presence are separate from them and have powers and awareness they don't have. Their characters stuck in their story. They absolutely probably believe what they're saying and thinking and feeling is real. And they are unaware that they are a dream. They believe they live in the real world. I want you to be aware of them as living in a dream world. And be aware of what you can change the dream, your breath, your attention, your presence changes is a transformative force of this dream world that you can influence, that you can move things around the stage, that you can start and stop and pause it all. That it's your theater change that they're dreaming in. Built this world for them. You get lost in it, can change it. You could build a different one. Aware of yourself as a force. It can change what happens here. You don't know all the ways to do it yet. Just awareness of the presence in it is a very different thing. It can bring love and acceptance to these stories that it doesn't know about yet. So just know, like, when you start breaking free and like, I'm going to get out of the judge story, the judge says this will all the things you have to do to be safe and protected. Sometimes when you go over here, the judge and the characters like say, no, that's scary, but we aren't following the rules, and fear might come up. Just notice you have fear. Freedom, it might be these characters' fear of your freedom. Not your fear of freedom, but their fear of your freedom. So these are some distinctions you'll make. Okay, questions? Okay, then the homework is, as much as possible, you can kind of go through an inventory, like, what are all the rules? You can go inventory, what are the specific images of perfection, everything you're supposed to be, according to this judge. But whatever you do, I want you to have as much awareness of the complete separation of these elements all kind of operating, interacting with each other in their own little world. You might just feel them, you might see them that I've laid out here. The fear of leaving them behind. Once you see the dream of the structure, its purpose, and maybe it's just an acknowledge and acceptance that this was our original kind of way of learning. This is how we learn to be safe, not get punished, not be rejected, not be teased at school, okay, not get beaten. It's like, follow all the rules. That was good for that time. But if we're living by those rules, we're also living in the past. We're not present. Okay. So take some acknowledgement and say, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. Thank you for helping me through that time. And ground yourself in the present. Take your present day awareness and see that this was all made up in the past. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. You're all there dreaming, but with as much presence, relaxing your body. Hi. I see what you're trying to do, but it's a dream. Okay. So you might see the judge as trying to be a protector. It might be a demon hurting the victim. It might be a hero trying to save you. You know, like you can see all these different ways when you understand what it's doing and why it's doing it. And even the fear is trying to protect you from these rules that has said this is how we stay safe and not be hurt. Okay. No, don't touch the stove. No, don't speak up. No, don't sing. But you're like, what are you doing if you agree to those rules? You're suffering. Okay. So that's the big lay of the land. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. Thank you. No, thank you. Okie dokie. This is acceptance of that dream. Acknowledgement and acceptance. What is it when we're doing this? We're not doing the judgment, rejection, fear thing. We're doing acceptance of the judgment, rejection, fear. We're doing acceptance of the judgment, fear, rejection, anger. We're doing acceptance of the victim. I see you, acknowledge you, I feel you, I hear you. What is that? We're dreaming a new dream whenever we send that message into that world. We're living in a different dream just by acknowledging and accepting it. Okay. And yes, there's things we can do to go inside and change it all. But this, establishing ourselves as a presence, sending love and acceptance to that dream, baseline, that's foundation. So what we're doing is we're practicing acceptance of judgments. We know why they're there. We know what they're trying to do. We know that it's only happening in a little internal narrative story. Has lots of lies. That's okay. That's what it was. Doesn't mean we're gonna say, yes, let's continue to be there and be stronger forever. No, it's like, but we're making this move here for us to be different and not dream that dream. Okay.
So Gary, writing the rules and then sending love, acceptance, calm, relaxation to that dream.
If you want to, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just if I understand.
Yeah, the first step before we want to go in and dismantle any of this or like really challenge it, I want you to establish yourself as a sense of presence separate from the dream. Because then it will feel safer to dismantle it and challenge it. You'll see that, oh, it's afraid of me singing. It's afraid of me giving this presentation, but I'm fine doing it. Okay? The more that you can establish yourself as a presence separate from this theater of stories, the more comfortable you will be dismantling it. Okay? Because I mean, I thought, you know, we can go in and like, we could just go challenge the judge directly and say, Judge, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Whew. Like really, like the warrior's way. You know, the kind of the compassionate way is, hey, Judge, I see you're trying to help and, you know, you're trying to protect the victim, but you're punishing it. You're like, okay, we can navigate kind of IFS all stories. There's a warrior's way. It's like, Judge, what are you doing? No, I'm not going to believe you anymore. Whew. You take all your faith. You take your faith out of the judge. Don't believe the story. Okay. But that works if you're very well established as a presence. And if you're not, all the fear of bad things happening will come out and pull you in. You'll feel like, oh shit, now the judge is gonna really stare at me. Bad things are really gonna happen if I challenge it. Okay, so you need to strengthen your presence. So the dream doesn't feel bigger than you. Make sense? Yeah, Jonathan.
Does the judge have more power than the other parts, or are they all kind of equal and the judge just maybe seems scarier?
Okay, so when we say it has power, first of all, what kind of power does it have? The only power that these parts of the dream and our mind, our subconscious have, are the ones that we've invested faith in. And so the power it has is the faith we've lent it. That's still our faith. And if we take it back, we take faith out of the judge, it has no power. All of these story characters only have the faith that we've given them. And when we take our faith back and no longer believe the story, they have no power. This is what you can do as presence. You move faith and you don't believe them. All right. So does it have power? Only the power we've lent it. And the characters that have the most power are the ones we put the most faith in. Okay. And those are the ones that we've repeated the most often and believed our thoughts of. Okay.
Yeah.
What it tends to have the most power as is when we're identified as the victim, we feel powerless and reliant on the judge to protect us and follow the rules. So our sense of it having power is typically, or being more powerful, is typically come because we're identified with a victim. We're afraid, we're wrong, we're bad, we're guilty, we're the worthless one, we're not to be trusted, we don't trust ourselves as the victim. So if we shift out of that, then we're like, these are all stories. These are all dreams. Okay. But from the victim persona perspective, misidentification, we feel powerless and the judge looks like it has all the power. It's going to beat us up. So the sense that it has power is usually a misunderstanding or a misperception.
Okay.
If you don't believe the judge, nothing happens. Except the judge gets upset about it.
Yeah.
It starts having a little temper tantrum like a little kid because it can't control you. Well, no, it doesn't control you. It only controls you if you believe it. Acceptance. Acceptance of yourself with presence. Acceptance that that all story is there doing what it's doing. It's immediately stepping into out of hell and into heaven. But yes, hell is still there, but we're not draining its drain. Okay. Thank you. I'll see you on a Wednesday coming up, right? Happy dreaming.
Thank you.